everybody. Yeah. Oh, I'll definitely want to talk though. I love what you're doing.
Yes. And I'm gonna send you. I have your card.
Okay.
And I'm gonna send. And even if I.
Oh man.
Yeah, I'll find you.
Okay. Well, you know Gina anyway, so
Yes.
okay, you're number her.
Okay.
All right, good seeing you.
You too.
What is up, everyone? As y'all can probably tell, we are at a conference here in the beautiful world of California. We're in Long Beach today, and we are coming at you live uh, at the American Geriatrics Society. So we are here today with AGS, with the leading experts in geriatric medicine, geriatric care. I mean, you can just feel the energy in the room. So I'm feeling like I'm in heaven right now. But life is good, man. I'm here, of course, representing geriatrics and, of course, learning more on how I can become the best deprescribing advocate in the world. And so we're leading and learning from awesome research, awesome clinical trials, ways to incorporate patient driven deprescribing, which is what I am all about. So I'm glad you guys can tune in. Really, today, I wanted to share a couple of things I've taken away. Where yesterday they had a special session specifically for people interested in the US Deprescribing Network. And so, shout out to those guys. They completely had a private forum for people invested. And so, we had people present their posters from across the world, right? Talking about deprescribing. What are they finding? What are some effective communication tools? What are some clinical tools we can use? What are patient attitudes and caregiver attitudes when it comes to medication management? So tons and tons and tons of gems. So today we are still here. And of course, I'm on West Coast time, so I'm a little jet lagged coming in from the East Coast, but I'm excited. So I'm going to share a couple of takeaways for you guys. So let me know if you hear me okay. I know there may be a good bit of background, but we're going to dive on into some cool stuff. So first and foremost, my initial impressions, man, walking in, this is my first conference with American Geriatrics Society, and I'm also a newer member, so kind of a big deal. New member badge, representing, of course, geriatrics. So really, I'm here at the behest of one of my mentors, Dr. Adrienne Mims, who inspired me to attend, and so she and her tutelage have been leading the charge in bringing in uh, tools to address ageism, racism, especially being an amazing Black woman and leader. She's helping me learn some of the ropes of the world of geriatric medicine from the geriatrician lens. So this has been such a blessing. I mean, just such an amazing, cool experience. Walking in, it's like everyone's kind of like family here. I can't even lie. People are just warm, they're receptive. People don't get into geriatric medicine for accolades, right? But you can literally sense everyone's selflessness here. And that's the first impression I had at this convention center. And I've also had a chance to see some other awesome pharmacist buddies. Ran into an old classmate, Ashley Campbell, who's now serving in geriatric medicine in Arizona, University of Arizona. So shout out to her, fellow Tar Heel. Got to show some love. But I mean, it's just been fire, man. It's just been a great week, and really, I've found some new takeaways regarding just how to better identify problems with medications. And so this is why I'm here: is you got to take the time to invest in yourself and to better yourself if you're going to be the best at your craft. So I'm trying to be the best at my craft. That's why I'm here, learning from the best and sharing what I've learned with others. I'm not greedy with it. So let's give a little rundown of what some of my notes are. So I have a couple notes up on what can be helpful for some folks. Some things may cover like the quality of evidence around certain interventions with deprescribing. Some things may involve technical terms like hyperpolypharmacy. What does that mean? What does it look like? Others are what are some current updates when it comes to the US Deprescribing Network, and what other initiatives can clinicians utilize to leverage deprescribing? So we're going to dive into that. But let's start first with the amazing Dr. Sarah Hilmer, who was our keynote speaker, I believe based out of Australia. And she gave us an amazing explanation of this tool that she created and developed. And it is called the Drug Burden Index. So again, it's a clinical tool really designed to assess if there's an increase in falls, in delirium, in frailty, using a score that can rank your drug burden index. Basically, how much does this drug load, not necessarily the number of medications, but particularly the type of medication. How much is that affecting your cognition, delirium, and all those other ailments we've mentioned? And so the higher that risk factor or the higher that score is, the more likely you're going to have issues with potential falls, delirium, and frailty. And it was so cool. Like, she literally was explaining how they were using mouse models and essentially giving 7 of the main medications we may see in older adults, and seeing how the mouse is able to carry out their quote unquote activities of daily living. In this case example, they were looking at how well a mouse can create a nest for it to sleep. And so, looking at the mouse study, they were able to show that when the mouse had more drugs or a higher drug burden index, they were less likely to perform and complete those activities of daily living in their day to day, which translates to our older adults, right? The more medications, the higher that drug burden can be, or more so, the higher that drug burden index is, the more risk of that frailty and your ADLs being put out of whack. So it was really dope seeing how in this study they were basically drugging these mice for about what was it? It was like for a couple weeks, I forget, or a couple months, I forget. And then they were able to have a washout period where essentially they're deprescribing, right? Which we preach all day with our company. And so after they start deprescribing, they're able to see some of that function, that nesting function in mice recover, which was awesome. So the higher that burden, though, I think the more robust the response was when it comes to reversal. So it's pretty awesome to see that translation in mice come to the process of deprescribing in our older adults now. You see a lot of the waffling and uncertainty around deprescribing is there really aren't clear guidelines. And so as much as we may have some things from the amazing work from the Canadian Deprescribing Network, as well as Australian's Deprescribing Network and their collaborations, we still are basically making recommendations off of fairly low quality trials, because it's super hard to fund a trial to deprescribe. And it's really because of ethics, right? We don't want to put people in harm's way, and to fund that is not practical. So we have to use kind of different models, observational data, quasi experimental models, etc., to try to extrapolate from what the intervention of deprescribing can provide. And that's why this is so damn critical. So we were able to see that issue with the mice, but essentially it showed that it's not necessarily the number of drugs that lead to these increased risk factors, but using this drug burden index, again, created by Dr. Sarah Hilmer, we were able to show that sometimes it's mainly just the type of drug, not necessarily the number. So that was really important. We also found that having higher drug burden index can lead to higher frailty or risk of frailty. Higher drug burden index has also been shown to lead to weakened or lessened gait in people walking. Super critical. So again, this is observational data. So from this being an observational study, we cannot address causality, meaning we cannot say this is what will happen, but more so there is an association of having more falls and what's, etc., if you have a higher drug burden index. So I just want to make sure I clarify that nuance, because the data, again, we're gleaning with what we have to make this point known. I also kind of wasn't familiar with the term hyperpolypharmacy. I say polypharmacy all day, but hyperpolypharmacy is defined by having 10 or more medications. Uh, we've also discussed what else? Oh, there was a cool study showing that drug polypharmacy has been associated with actually affecting the gut microbiome, which we kind of knew, but we never had the data to support it. And that's why you're seeing such a huge uptick in holistic wellness, in basically nutrigenomics. You're seeing this focus on gut health. The truth is, too many meds can throw off that pH, it can throw off that balance, and you may not get the absorption and the nutrients that you would need generally. And so that impact can actually dictate how, if we were to de-prescribe some of these meds, there was a partial return of that gut health, of that gut flora. It was not a full return. So that tells us we need to look at a holistic way of supplanting this method of de-prescribing as we're trying to get that gut microbiome back to health. So I know it's kind of esoteric, nerdy stuff, but that's kind of what I live for. We talked about a number of pretty cool, interesting de-prescribing clinical trials and tools. There was the OptiMed study. There was also a couple tools I want to give you guys to shout out. There was some clinical support tools for de-prescribing. There's one called GMEDS, GMEDSS, and it is software that is intended to quantify that drug burden index I was talking about earlier. Now, I believe it's primarily only used and meant for Australian physicians and health systems, so you may need to reach out and ask permission to get that type of tool. But again, that's going to be critical when it comes to identifying what's potentially harmful and what can be potentially de-prescribed. What else we got? Oh, so a couple of trials I want to note are critical, and we actually teach a good number of these trials within our de-prescribing accelerator. There's, of course, the MedSafer study. There's the Optimize study. There's the CoFrail study, which is based out of Germany. There's the OpeRAM study, a newer de-prescribing study. There's, of course, the classic SHED-Med study. And there's the Senator study. So all of these are some kind of mnemonic for something. I can't tell you all that now, but those are some of the top trials that came up with some pretty robust evidence, if not some that show, unexpected responses, or maybe a lack of significance when it comes to applicability. So we still have a long ways to go to really quantify with clinical data the impact of some of this, but we know that generally this is where medicine has to go. So the US panel, the US Deprescribing Network panel, was so inquisitive. I mean, it was just amazing. The questions out there were great. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, we talked about like how to measure de-prescribing success. That was great. That was more focused on data methodology and choosing your right metrics to match up your trial design. Stuff that's a little bit over my head, I can't lie, but it is what it is. Now, I think the best part for me was going and seeing all those awesome poster reviews. So there were a couple of residents presenting on de-prescribing antipsychotics in certain community dwelling settings. There are some that were focused on telehealth medication adherence protocols for de-prescribing. There were a couple focused on using, of course, interdisciplinary care approaches when it comes to having a pharmacist help with that de-prescribing initiative. I mean, the posters were plentiful and they were so impressive. So I'm so excited for the future of de-prescribing and where, honestly, more research is heading. I mean, tons of residents get their showcases on how they've tracked de-prescribing or the prevalence of inappropriate medications in kidney disease populations in rural health settings, using, again, social workers, interdisciplinary models of de-prescribing. A lot of this stuff we try to cover and teach within our de-prescribing accelerator. So good stuff there. Really, there's a lot more I could talk about the trials, but the bread and butter of deprescribing still comes down to the holy beers list. So the beers list has recently been updated. There's a 2022 version out. I think it should be out. But I mean, I can't lie, bro. Like the menu, the stuff to do is extensive as hell. It's like hard to choose what all needs to be done, but just there's a lot there. Uh, but what was even better was seeing some mentors, was seeing some old friends, was seeing Gina Upchurch of Senior Pharmacist, seeing some amazing geriatricians at Duke, learning more about, of course, who else is doing the same type of work I'm doing so that we can collaborate and share ideas. And so in that light, I do want to share some news with you all. I actually announced today to a group of pharmacists at a networking breakfast that GeriatrX is going to be partnering up with Duke Health along with AME Zion Churches in Durham. And we're going to be piloting a study around deprescribing in African American churches using the VA's Vion model, along with, of course, pharmacogenomics. So yes, we are going to be piloting the first ever African American pharmacogenomics deprescribing study using a faith-based population across 17 churches in Durham. So we just got word of that. Again, this is us, GeriatrX, partnering, showing that we can do this together. And yeah, I'm excited as hell. I just got the award announcement maybe a week or two ago and spoke with getting a thing set up. So we are now ready to start ripping and running and literally practice what we're preaching and then get the data to back up why this is so damn important. So that is some really, really huge news. This is the first deprescribing grant I've gotten. Of course, it's covered under the US Deprescribing Network, which is also under the National Institute on Aging. So psyched, and I just have to give a big thanks to Dr. Michael Steinman, to Dr. Cynthia Boyd for their support of our project and for pushing things forward and moving the mission around deprescribing and using a cultural sense, a cultural-based lens to it. What else? I learned some cool stuff. Last night was awesome. They had a lot of drinks, so I had to get my fill and meet with some past presidents. But today is going to be really jam-packed. Since I'm a new member, there's going to be a networking event at a networking event at actually for new members. So brand new members will be there. Duke is also having a networking event. So I got to see Dr. Mitchell Heflin, a huge community leader in our Durham geriatric workforce enhancement group. So, I mean, the best part really is seeing other dope, cool people, finding creative ways to reach people, to serve people, and of course, to deprescribe. Frankly, it's a lot going on, guys. It's a lot. Today is jam-packed. Whew. So I'm kind of taking a little break now. I definitely want to check that out. There's a cool one with prescribing and deprescribing opioids in older adults. There's one on ensuring equity in your research. There's World Clinical Guidelines for falls prevention. I'm definitely going to go to that one. Let's see what else we got. Sleep apnea, that's not my thing. Oh, there is a session actually in a couple minutes on technology for medication management and adherence in older adults. So evidence and research for clinical practice. That's going to be really good. So I'm going to go to that one next. And what else we got going on? Oh, yeah, there's a little taco event tonight. There's a little taco mixer with Duke Health. So they have an event for their students that were presenting their posters as well on deprescribing. So we've got a lot of heavy hitters in here, man, from geriatricians, aging experts. We got nurse researchers, PhDs, PharmDs. My gosh, we got students everywhere. But I'm just loving the honestly the diversity here. I mean, you're not going to always find a lot of black men, but this is a really robust group of passionate people. So I'm kind of in this nerdy de-prescribing heaven right now, and that's okay. But this is fun. This is fun. Long Beach has been treating me well. I want to give a huge shout out to my frat brother John Roberson for allowing me the space to crash and basically just hang out with him. But frankly, I'm so happy I do what I do, man. I mean, I keep meeting someone who's going to help me get to that next level of nationally scaling and nationally mandating de-prescribing across the aging industry. So that's my biggest joy. That's my biggest passion. And frankly, if you're tired of this world of pharmacy, make your own world in it, man. Like, make your own world. Like, find ways to make yourself find that joy that you may have lost. But I'm not here to focus on that, really. I'm here to focus on learning some stuff so that I can get back and refine my de-prescribing accelerator. So I'm collecting my data so that I can make sure that when my alumni graduate, they're getting the up-to-date, most current, awesome clinical tools around de-prescribing. So it really has been an amazing group. I think I shared with you the fact that we got that mini grant with US Deprescribing Network. Next steps I also want to share will be the fact that I will be, and I also announced this today in our networking breakfast, but I'll be having my very first TED Talk. That's right. That's right. This is the year. So we're going to have our first TEDx Ocala or Ocala. I don't know how you pronounce it, but it'll be in Florida. That'll be our first TEDx talk. And you know what it's going to be about? The power of de-prescribing and the future of how pharmacists and other advocates can change the narrative around polypharmacy, prescribing cascades, inappropriate medications, even hopefully refine some of these guidelines that are just not thinking about what seniors are dealing with their pathophysiology, their pharmacokinetics and dynamics, and even phenoconversion when it comes to pharmacogenomics. So there's so many levels to the power of de-prescribing. And I mean, I just need us all to learn and see that we have that ability and joy now in our lives. So it's getting a little rowdy in here in a good way. Little break between the next session, so people are just conversing and commuting. But I mean, dude, they had everything: de-prescribing for dementia, de-prescribing for heart failure, de-prescribing opioids, and how do you manage chronic pain with that? Like literally every topic in our de-prescribing accelerator, there was a study or trial or conversation at this conference. So it affirms that what I'm doing is the future. It affirms that this needs to be the focus of geriatric pharmacists and geriatricians and social workers and geriatric nurses. It affirms that what I'm speaking to isn't just a fluff or whatever. It's literally the standard of care is changing, and we have to be loud and proud, and we have to show what pharmacists can offer in this space. So I gotta appreciate the fact that, I didn't know this journey would take me here. Like, I didn't know that I would be here talking to y'all about this stuff like this. This is just the story I have to share. This is my story. This is what I want us all to achieve, this type of joy. But yeah, we've met some amazing folks. But yeah, man, I hope you guys are loving it. Just got to give you a little update with geriatrics. So we've got a lot going on. We will also be at the Healers and Healthcare Conference, and we'll be again discussing leveraging our gifts for de-prescribing. We'll also further be maximizing our wait list to open up for our enrollment for our next cohort of the de-prescribing accelerator. We're still looking at applications for that, so we'll definitely be screening. So make sure you book your schedule to meet with me to discuss further using the link in the description. All right. But really today, I just want to give y'all an update of what I'm feeling, what I'm believing in. I'm actually impressed with how deep pharmacists were today. Like, there were a good bit of pharmacists in that networking breakfast. So it's amazing to see that immediate warmth and reception from other clinicians when sometimes we're the only pharmacist walking into a room, right? So I love that we were so warmly received, but I'm loving hearing so many amazing projects. People launching geriatric consultative services within their health system or trying to build a case to fund it. People using creative ways to, again, drive that educational component. People just, again, inspiring me, like firing me up to be here to relay that we can do this in a way that makes you feel limitless. We really can. So that's the joy I want to share today. Got much love for y'all. But yes, we'll be back again with the red pill versus blue pill. Check us out. Much love, okay? I hope y'all have an amazing, amazing week. I'm going to go ahead and get into this next session and share more of my thoughts. And I'll probably share some footage after tonight's reception, okay? So y'all have a great one. Much love. This is Dr. DeLon Canterbury from GeriatrX. Yeah, keep rocking and rolling, okay? Have a good one. Ugh.